students and graduates. Welcome to PhD Lounge, the podcast of late-night talks in which PhDs have a drink and talk about their research topics. There's something almost every PhD hears. You must be so smart. But here's a reality check. Obtaining a PhD doesn't make us smarter. But why is that, and where does this claim stem from? First, it's not about total knowledge or superior intelligence. A PhD means you've deeply studied one specific thing. It doesn't mean you know more than someone with a BA, an MA, or no degree at all. This belief may come from the small percentage of PhDs in the world, roughly between 2 and 3%. In people's minds, that makes you stand out for possibly the worst reasons. This degree takes a long time, requires a bit of patience, and plenty of work ethic. And as these soft skills are not advertised, most people think that they are not exactly cut out for a PhD, making it sound exceptional. Second, a PhD is a focus exercise, just as much as a labor of love as you become an expert in a very narrow field. For example, in my dissertation about Greco-Roman cities in Syria and Mesopotamia, through the post-colonial terminologies hybridity and third space, I only explored 3 case studies in which I can now be considered an expert, using them as context for my research argument. If you'd ask me, but what about other cities in the Greco-Roman world? I could only share my ground knowledge, as I would need to study them closer. It is true that you must have some prior knowledge of what you studied during your BA and MA, and you must be smart in the way you approach your PhD dissertation. However, the PhD teaches you how to ask questions, how to use methods, and how to build arguments. But your expertise has limits, and it's meant to be debated. Lastly, the PhD isn't a linear path to make someone smarter just because academic jargon was used or restricted public access volumes were consulted. That mindset will very likely create uncomfortable and unnecessary distance when you share your research with others, both fellow scholars and interested lay people as well. Instead, the PhD is built from our due diligence in terms of how our skills are applied and processed in a practical manner to complete the arduous journey of achieving the degree. This not only comes from writing essays or having good grades in your exams and assessments, but from your curiosity and experiences that come outside of university, such as working a year in industry, having internships, and life overall. So, next time you're confronted with this claim during a conversation, try to explain in plain and simple language that you're doing a PhD not to be smart, but to obtain more knowledge in your field you are passionate about, and lead those who want to take this adventurous path by example. Thank you all for tuning in. It has been a pleasure.